and welcome everyone. My name is Judy Singhrat, the Program Marketing Manager at Merriwether Williams Insurance Services, and I'd like to welcome you all to our webinar on how to manage and track change orders in real time. So in this hour-long webinar, not only will you learn about tracking and managing change orders in real time, but we'll also show you how to process change orders, adjust your financials, and minimize the cost and scope of work expectations. You'll also hear from Nima Hagbin, who will introduce you to Extractor, which is a construction-based software system that allows contractors and subcontractors to secure change order documentation in real time, track accountability, and make instant updates while in the field. With that, I do want to make a quick note. The views and opinions expressed regarding this construction-based software system are solely those of Extractor. Merriwether Williams neither endorses nor has any vested interest in promoting or advertising this product. Neither Merriwether Williams or its consultants are in any way affiliated or related to Extractor, nor is this presentation to represent an endorsement of Extractor's product. For those of you in the audience today, you're familiar with our firm. You know that we've been working with small and emerging contractors for many years and recognize areas that may cause difficulties in working with large prime contractors as well as public entities. And the margins for profit in the construction industry can be small. And one area where we often see profit fade is with change orders, which makes the processing and submittal of change orders an important aspect of a project. So we've identified change orders as a potentially problematic area. Discussion on the topic with large prime contractors and small contractors. So as a result, we researched numerous processes for a solution to simplify and expedite the process of change orders from a paperwork, timeliness, and signing off on the change order standpoint. And Extractor provides one solution to the change order dilemma, but we do acknowledge that there may be other solutions, but we're just very pleased today to present this presentation to you all on change orders and the potential support in process via Extractor software system. So before we jump in, I do want to hand the mic over to one of our team members. His name is Ken Hyman, who's an account manager. Ken would like to share some information with you all about our firm and also the services that we provide. Welcome, Ken.
Thank you, Judy. Welcome, everyone. And so over the past 20 years, Merriwether Williams Insurance Services has administered for our sponsor partners a winning combination enabling small minority, women, and disabled veteran-owned companies to bid on more than $980 million in public works construction while providing over $20 million in contract savings to our sponsoring public entities. The programs administered by Merriwether Williams differ slightly, but contain all of the following elements: one-on-one consultations to determine individual contractor strengths and opportunities for growth, customized contractor development plans to provide support where needed, specialized classes on all aspects of running a successful contracting business, training by industry experts on public construction best practices, collateral guarantees so that contractors can secure contract financing and bonds, assistance with obtaining or increasing bonding capacity, funds administration to ensure that contractors have solid project funds management and risk mitigation. And with the exception of bonding and loan costs, all of these support services are free to you. For a complete list of all our services, please visit our website at www.imwis.com. Thank you. Back to you, Judy.
Thank you, Ken. Now I want to introduce you to our first presenter, Robert Lowry, who is our field support project manager at Merriwether Williams. Robert has been with the firm since 2018. He has extensive experience in the construction industry, and we're just so thankful for his time to present today.
Good. Thank you, and welcome everyone. Like I said, my name is Robert Lowry, and the field support project manager. And just a little bit about change order management. This is one of my, I guess I would say, dear to my heart, because this change orders can make or break your company. So, learning how to spend time with them, reconciling monthly, knowing your rights, knowing how to put packages together is critical, because that's successful with change orders management. Next slide, please. So today I'm gonna give you a quick background on change orders, and then I'm gonna turn it over to Nima. He will talk about the Extractor platform, and then we'll do a quick summary. Stop. So, a simple definition for change orders is a change for work that's not included in your original contract scope. So anything that's above and beyond is a change order. It can be an add or a deduct. So the owners, architects, owners reps can do add or remove scope. So that's what change order is about. And it's also like properly handling the starts of the scope with it, and then the effective change order management minimize the risk of cost increases and schedule disruptions. So it's real critical on how to manage your change orders. And today, with Extractor, Nima will show you many ways to minimize that risk. Next slide, please. So, some definitions that you need to be aware of when you are putting together your change order logs, change orders requests. This is kind of some of the standard language that you will see in the industry. PCI is potential cost impact. That is when you immediately identify that. That's when you would assign a number to your PCI. Then you start to put together your change order package. There's different types of change orders. It's a change order to management. It's either a firm or a time and material. And that is change to owner means that you will recover costs from the owner or the GC that's hired you. A no change is like an internal, where you're gonna have, there's a change order but there's no cost, or if you already have an allowance, that you can use that allowance for those change orders. And then, as we all know, back charge is if trade related damages. And then here's some of the statuses that you want to use to track your change orders. As listed here as status: submitted, proceeding, submitted, not proceeding. And one of the critical ones that that is a big risk is submitted and proceeding, even if you have not got the verbal to proceed. So that first one is very critical. So you have to stay on top of that. Next slide. And then once you have the change orders requests put together, there's an owner change order number, which you can either assign it to your package, or your GC or hiring contractor will give you that number. And a lot of times within this packet, it could be one change order request per owner change order, or you can lump numerous change order requests into one packet. So that's the difference between an owner change order packet and a change order request. Next slide, please. So there are some categories that you want to use that are listed here for when you are doing change orders. Schedule impact is one that you want to capture days, because that can also give you additional general conditions. Phasing is another one that you see a lot of times in the construction industry, because you might bid it as one phase. They'll come back and say, okay, we want you to do 2, 3, 4 phases. You have to be able to get a cost for demobilize, mobilize back and forth. Errors and omissions is more on the design team. So you'll see a lot of those. And then acceleration, if they get behind schedule or they want to have an early end date. So having these categories to use also will help you manage your change orders. Next slide, please. So once you have put everything together, it's been submitted, then you also want to track your directives. You notified awaiting direction, proceed under protest. Keep in mind with the one that says proceed under protest means that the owner has acknowledged your change order request, but they're going to challenge you. So with that word protest means they're going to come back to you again to reconcile or negotiate. So you just have to be aware of where you are with these change orders. And the key thing is with change order requests, it's like telling a story. You have to have the right documentation to go with it, your formal directive, any emails, anything that needs to go into submitting supplement documentations to tell your story. Just like when you go to court, it's a case. You want to win your case. You want to get your money. So that is how you want to track your change order requests. Next slide, please. So, like I mentioned, there's a form for change order request form. Nemo will kind of show you there's this in Extractor, and then there's a change order request log, which you want to use this monthly, weekly to reconcile, because at the end of each month when you do billing, you want to have little exposure to, not collecting costs. So having this change order request log that has those different categories where you can filter. So when you have meetings, you can focus on the ones that you really need. And in your contracts, you might see how many days they will have to issue the formal change order request. So, what is included in change order packet? It's a summary of the change in the scope, the timeline, like I said, timeline impact analysis showing is how this change is affecting the schedule. If you have submitted RFI request for information, you want to put that in because that is coming from the architect of records saying, yes, proceed with this change. And like I said, with supporting documents of the cost, because you want to be able to show how you come up with these numbers. If they want to negotiate, you have the document to make decisions there. And then the PCI is the potential cost impact, which is your number. So that's how you will properly put a packet together, which will then be submitted for review and approval. Next slide. So with that, I was just trying to give you some definition just to prep you for the next part of this workshop. I'm going to turn it over to the account manager by Extractor. So take it away, Nima.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nima. I'm with Extracker. I'm an account manager with them. First of all, I want to thank Merriwether and Williams for thinking of us when coming up with this presentation. We're really happy to show you what we have so that it can simplify your change management process at the company. So today I'll talk a little bit about my background, and then I'll start talking about what are some of the issues that we have currently in the industry and why there currently isn't really a good solution to help you manage everything. And then I'll talk about what we are trying to solve and what really change order communication is. And then I'd like to get into the software, show you exactly how you can use it. And throughout the presentation, I'll leave some space for questions, but also I'll leave some time towards the end of it as well. So a little bit about me. I've been in construction for over 8 years now, and I've probably done it all. I've been an owner's rep. I've been a general contractor. I've also been a subcontractor, specifically off-site utilities and mass excavation. So in each one of my capacities, I have encountered change orders, owner-directed change orders. I've actually been a designer as well. I always forget that. So I'm very familiar with the process. I was introduced to Extracker early on. I got to use it as a subcontractor, and I found that it dramatically changed how I processed, organized, and my change orders. So to make a long story short, I joined Extracker to help general contractors and their subcontractors on their projects. But really, Extracker is for general contractors and subcontractors and owners. It really benefits everybody in the process. And maybe a fun fact about me that not many people know is I speak Mandarin fluently. And maybe your question is how and why? My parents moved us when I was young, and so I really didn't have a choice in the matter. And my parents actually still live in China. So let's get started. So currently, I was thinking about what change orders means to me, at least, and so I thought about what I think of as an owner's representative, as a general contractor, as a subcontractor. I think as a subcontractor, it's really important to know how everyone thinks about it, because it'll help you organize and put together a really good cohesive change order, because you want to really get in their minds and think, like, if someone looks at this, what is it going to look like? And what's the story I'm trying to say? And Robert really put it perfectly, is that you are essentially a lawyer and a storyteller all at the same time. And so you want to make it really easy for them to basically approve your change order. So today I'll focus really on the subcontractor. I'll focus on the subcontractor's perspective when it comes to Extracker, but really it benefits everybody. And so currently the change management process looks something like this, where maybe it starts off with an owner's directed change order. It's communicated to the general contractor. The general contractor then communicates it to the subcontractors. Then they're waiting for a pricing, and then you got to maybe log it into your log, send it over to the general contractor, and have this loop of discussion of, do I have the right scope? Did I put in the right information? And the general contractor will have a whole lot of questions as well, to be like why is it this much? Can you give me more detail? And then that would be, I would say, forward pricing change orders, where you have some time to present your documentation. And then there are those issues where the schedules are really tight, and they need a scope. There's a scope change, and they need you to perform that work, but there's no time for you to be able to present that information in a timely manner. So they're going to be asking you to track it on what is typically called a time and material ticket. Each company calls it something different. It could range from extra field work order to doer to I can't think of another one at the moment, but my favorite is T&M. And so you have to track that through your foreman. You have to have good organization at your company, and then you also have to price that out and then log it into your log and submit it to the general contractor, and it has to be reviewed. And so there's this whole process, and that's just between the general contractor and the subcontractors. There's this whole other story between the owners and the general contractors. Sometimes the subcontractors get involved. So there's a lot of moving parts. A lot of it is done through email. A lot of it is done with antiquated softwares that don't necessarily promote efficient, productive communication. And so part of the reason why this is important is because owners and general contractors, and even you need financial visibility on a project. And the reason why that's important is because when there is a scope change, depending on who initiated it, whether it's the subcontractor or the owner, everyone wants to know what it means for the project ultimately. But the problem going from a scope change to understanding it, there's a lot of issues that don't allow it to happen. From losing your tags on the site, not being properly organized, to delays between your email and them reading it. As many of you are aware, you can write an email and not get a response, and then follow up a couple more times until you do. And so as a result of those kind of delays, project owners, general contractors, subcontractors have a hard time understanding the financial impact of whatever scope change happens on a project. And so our goal is to get that information to the stakeholders a lot quicker. And so what is Extracker? Extracker, we like to think of it as a change order communication platform that streamlines the flow of documentation when it comes to change orders between the subcontractor, general contractor, and the owner. And so, as I was mentioning, you get this bottleneck effect when there are scope changes. And so your teams can't make decisions. You have schedule impacts as a result of that. And as a result, your project runs over budget. And so these are all things that owners don't want, right? They want to be on time and under budget. And you want to, essentially as subcontractors, we are a service-oriented business, right? So the better customer service you give to your general contractor, the better they look and the better the project is overall. And that's how you actually win more jobs. The better you are as a subcontractor, the more jobs you are going to get. And so how Extracker works is really simple. Instead of the way of communicating through email and software that is really internal and doesn't speak to each other, you're using Extracker to upload your change orders, send them directly to the general contractor. No one's really making any manual updates, and everyone's able to have the financial visibility as soon as you know it and as soon as you want to submit it. And I'll show you in detail how that works. And then the general contractor has the opportunity to communicate with the owner as well, without the need to put a whole entire package together and do the administration work that goes behind that, and then send it to them through another software. And so what's great about Extracker is that it communicates all the way from the owner to the sub-tier vendor. So owner GC, GC subcontractor, subcontractor, sub-tier. Everyone can use Extracker on a project, and everyone's roles are very clearly defined. And so as a result, you get great documentation. You really don't lose anything. And for owners, are going to really love this. Like it really makes things easier to understand what you are looking at from a subcontractor, general contractor perspective. I know one of the issues that I had was when I would look at a change order, because everyone does it differently, what happens is I'm at least spending anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes understanding the format that you submitted it in. And so as a result, if you think about it, if I'm getting a prime change order, which contains anywhere from 3 to 5 subcontractor change orders, if I'm spending 10 minutes on those, that's 30 to 40 minutes just spent on understanding a format, where we could get a lot better at it, where if everyone does it the same way, then it makes review times easier. And so what I really want to focus on in terms of what Extracker gives back to the project, really, and to all stakeholders, is how efficient it becomes and how productive everyone can be. You see, on average, that our subcontractors are processing their change orders 85% faster. And I can attest to it. That's exactly like how I felt. I actually did the time analysis and the cost analysis as well, and we can talk about that at a later time if you are more curious about it. But it absolutely saves all the stakeholders time. And as a result, that means money. And so you get a lot more efficient when it comes to tracking your change orders. And so let me share my other screen here with you, where I will. Can everyone see this screen right here with Extracker on it? Great.
Yes.
So when you first sign into Extracker, very simple. You can access your change order log, T&M log, your projects, and you can access your users. So if we dive in straight into the change order log, you will see that each one of these line items is a change order that I've submitted to any one of my general contractors. So one of the struggles as a subcontractor is, how do I manage all of my scope changes across all my projects? And so Extracker allows you to manage that all in one place. for those of you who have maybe been in the industry for a while, you're likely having an Excel log for each one of your projects. You have like a project folder, and each one of those folders has its own templates, and you use those per project. Whereas, and then you have to make manual updates to it as you continue on with the project. So what Extracker does is all puts it in one place and makes it and cleans it up for you, however you like to see it. So at a glance, you can see that I'm tracking the change orders I have, what's in review. And actually, I have a couple filters on. Let me remove that. You can see what's in review, what's a placeholder or an estimate, what's been approved by the general contractor, and what has actually already been issued to me. And these can be set depending on your role on the project. If your general contractor is asking you to use Extracker, then the general contractor will be setting the status. If you are using it as a subcontractor, this is your log to manage your change orders with them. And so you can then set the status as well. We provide this summary for you to at a glance see. So for an owner, this becomes really powerful. If you're managing any number of project managers, you can see at a glance what your company is doing in terms of change management. If I filter out by my projects, now I have the change order log for that project, and I know exactly what is going on with my project. I can go further, and if I'm curious about what's in a review and what I need to follow up on, then I'm just going to filter out by in review. And the statuses all update along with my filtering. And oh, did I not save? Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, there we go. And so then, and you can make it as detailed as you want. Extractor can be as powerful as you want it. So for instance, as a subcontractor, you might have specific charge codes, phase codes, cost codes. Everyone calls it something different. When it comes to change management, you want a specific code, you can add your own labels to it. And you can even filter out, we have the status and then further stages where, so something could be pending in review, but you want to be a little bit more detailed in what kind of review that is. Is it with the general contractor? Is it with the owner? Have they asked me to revise it? So you can track all of that in Extracker. So to upload a change order is very simple. You click on Add New and upload a change order request. You would select the project that you created already, and the change order number is generated automatically. It starts off 1 for the project and iterates by 1, but you can edit it however you like. So if you wanted to add some initials to it, or however you like to display your change orders, you can. You put in a title, you put in the cost, and then you put in the tracking number that your general contractor provided you. In terms of good practice, you should never submit one without an official number, because that means if there is a number, that means the general contractor knows about it. And for me, good practice is I'm not going to start on a change order. I'm not going to do anything outside of my scope unless it's been acknowledged properly by the general contractor. And what that means is if it has, then they should be tracking it using a number, using a reference number. And you should obtain that as a subcontractor and use that. But if you have a good relationship with your general contractor, or you've spoken and you trust them, then this field isn't a mandatory field. You can, at any point, you can also hover over our tooltips to understand what exactly that field is used for and how you can use it to streamline your process. So then you just upload the document that you usually would have created. Either that's going to be through an Excel file or a document or software that prints out a PDF. And I'll show you in a second that you can actually get rid of all of that and just use Extracker to do it for you. But let's say in this case, you're happy with your system of creating a document that you would have otherwise emailed to the general contractor. So you're going to just select the document that you would have emailed to them. Your contact information is going to populate automatically because you would have entered that into Extracker when you created the project. And then you can either add a note to the email notification that they will receive and then click send. So when you click send, you've done essentially 3 things. You've notified the general contractor of your change order. you've updated your change order log automatically and their change order log, and you're keeping track of your change order. So the third is currently probably, and really the second. These are all things that you have to do manually. So for the updating of the log, if you have a separate log, you're going into your separate Excel log and you're manually entering it. And for tracking it, really, if you're emailing it, it's a black hole, because you don't hear, the general contractor, depending on the size of this project, you might not hear back from your general contractor. So your responsibility as a project manager, a company owner, is to follow up on that change order. And what that means is calling your general contractor, emailing them. And again, what that means is maybe calling them and not getting them on the phone, leaving a couple voicemails, catching them at a bad time. Or if it's with email, you're emailing and they're not hearing back for 3 days. So these are all delays when it comes to change orders. So in Extracker, you can view it. This is the document that you would have sent. Shout out to Marinship. That's the last LBE company I work for. And so here we provide you the ability to track your change orders. You know who you sent it to. You know if they've opened it up. You know how many times they opened it up. You know who opened it up. If it's the PE or the project manager or the company owner. So it gives you information that you otherwise would have never had if you had emailed them without having to communicate with the general contractor. This becomes extremely powerful when you have 10 jobs that you need to manage and you need information quick. So for instance, if I submitted this change order a week ago and I see that there has been no activity on this change order, then I'm calling my general contractor and saying, hey, look, I've submitted this change order to you. You need to take a look at it because I need to bill for it this month. If they have looked, if it was last week and they looked at it maybe yesterday, then you know to give it a couple days to wait for a response from the general contractor. So it gives you information that you otherwise wouldn't have had. Then if, let's say they haven't, you can easily send them a message, and everyone on that project everyone who's on that project and with your company will also be notified of it. Here, messages, that should be it all. So you can filter by messages and activities if you wanted to, or see it all in one place. And so again, this becomes really powerful when you have a bit of a larger team, or let's say you go on vacation as a company owner, right? You go on vacation and you want to make sure things are as they should be. And you can also kind of like keep an eye on everything at the same time. So now you don't have to forward all those emails that you had to your project manager or your admin to be like, hey, keep an eye on these ones. All they have to do is have access to Extracker, and they'll have the same information that you have. And if you're on vacation and you have a moment to yourself, you can come in here and look if there has been activity on these things. So it allows everyone to have the same information all at the same time. If, for instance, they come back to you in a couple of days, the general contractor comes to you in a couple of days and is like, hey, can you please add this item, remove that item? Now, unlike before where you had to go edit a whole Excel sheet, print it off as a PDF, attach all the supporting documents. Now all you have to do is come into Extracker, click on more, and create a revision. So now we're tracking your revisions for you. Point 1, point 2, point 3, as they come along, and as you'll have maybe already experienced, you get a lot of revisions per change order, which again delay the time in getting it approved so you can get that money back. And so then all you need to do is, let's say it was a bit of an addition, so you update it with the cost, and then you upload it with the new file. And then you just click send. And again, when you click send, you've done those 3 things. You've notified the general contractor, you've updated everyone's logs, yours, theirs, and you're keeping track of your revision now as well. And what's great about this—
very powerful, very great tool. We do have some questions that trickled in. I was hoping we can answer a couple. Yes. I know we wanted to wait till the end, but the first question is, does Extractor work with public entities?
Yeah, it can, if the public entity wants to use it, absolutely. It depends on the public entity, yeah.
Okay. And then the second question is, if I use Extractor software, does the prime or owner need to have Extractor to interact with my change order?
No, not at all. And we might as well get into that right now. So when you upload, let's say you're using Extracker as a subcontractor just for yourself and to manage your company's change order management. When you submit it to your log, you've obviously notified the general contractor. And so what they get, and I'll switch over to a owner's account, or sorry, a general contractor or owner's account. And what they would do is they would receive an email saying, hey, you got a change order from me. And the title, the name of the project, your company. And all they need to do is click on view, comment, or download on the button, and then they will be presented with your change order. And so they can easily communicate here with no charge to them. The only thing is that they would need to sign up for a quick account to be able to communicate with you. And also, as you can see here, they can see the most up-to-date revision as well. So they will be notified if something was not up to date. And as you can see, your messages and your activity get updated per your revision. So yes, they can use it.
Okay, thank you. And I think we have another question, but I think you've already, which is similar to the previous one, which I believe you've already answered. It is, as a subcontractor, would this only be beneficial to our company as we cannot request for a GC to utilize the system? I think you've already answered that.
Right, absolutely. So when I used it as an LBE subcontractor, I used it internally. And it's funny is that it was built for general contractors and subcontractors. Extracker was built for everybody. But when your general contractor sees that you're using it, they're like, how can I use this? How can my other subcontractors use this? I was on a project with the general contractor. They saw that I was using it and they wanted to implement it for their self-perform team even. And so it becomes extremely powerful for everybody. So once you've submitted your revision, then you're really good to go. That's all you really need to do in Extractor is just do one thing. Now, what I prefer is to not even have an Excel template and just do everything in Extractor. So if you click on Add New and create a change order request, now you are using essentially Extractor's template. You select the project that you're on, and so we'll Add New, create a change order request. And we're going to click on Add New. There we go. And your customer information populates. Your change order number, you can put in. Your reference number again. And then you just put in a title. And you put in your scope of work. And then, because I've already uploaded Extracker with my personnel, I can select from it. You can either select, it depends on how you like to present your information. You can either put just trade, or you can put trade and name as well. Let's say on this, let's say they asked me to work Saturdays, and I know it's going to be a week's worth of work or a month's worth of work. You can see that now my change order is being generated automatically, and I have rates tied to straight time, overtime, double time, premium overtime, and premium double time. So this becomes extremely powerful when your general contractor is asking you to work outside of your estimated hours. And if anyone's done work before, you know that this happens actually quite frequently, because maybe the subcontractor before took its time and now they want to see how much extra it's going to be for you to just work a little bit faster, a little bit more efficiently. And so you can provide that information to them with Extracker because you have all that information there. And so let's say in this case, I'm working premium double time, and I don't think I put in my rates in here, so it's going to be 0. But that's not a problem. I can easily edit it as well. So I'll put in the delta hours for between double time and straight time. And I didn't have any material that we have approved, but I do have invoices. So we'll get to that in a second. So I had a mini excavator on site, and it was there for 8 hours, or we're going to have it actually 40 hours, sorry. And then I'll have some invoices. So if I didn't have anything inputted, I could also input things manually as well. So let's say I had an invoice and maybe it was from HD Supply and maybe I had about $650 worth of invoice of material. What my best practice is that because you're managing so many projects, your markup rates for each one of those projects is different. And so almost every time when you're creating a change order, you have to go look at your subcontract to verify, hey, do I have the right one? Because some are 12, some are 12.5, some are 15, some are 10, right? So the first thing I do in Extracker is when I create the project is I immediately look at my contract, I put in the markup rates and I forget about it. I never have to worry about it again because when I come into Extracker, I know I set it up and no sweat off my back. And if I set it up, I know that if I, as an account owner, set it up, the project manager doesn't even have to look at it, or the admin who I've requested to create the change order doesn't even have to look at it because it's all already set up in Extracker. So if I had some invoices or email approvals, any backup documentation, like Robert said, you want to present a good story. And so PDFs and your backup, that's all going to be really important to you. And so you're going to attach those invoices to justify your $650. And then Extracker generates the change order for you. It puts in your logo, it puts in the company and project information, all of which you saw that I didn't have to put in. And so you're presenting a much cleaner change order to your general contractors. And as a result, you're providing more value. And so this is how you shine as a superstar, as a subcontractor. Doesn't matter who you're working with. And so as you can see, it's broken down on the summary page, and then any attachment I had will be there as well. And then I go ahead and submit it. So now what I did was I created a change order while I'm giving a presentation, told my general contractor about it, updated my change order log, and now I can just sit back. So anyone who has done change orders knows that this can take anywhere from a week to a couple weeks, depending on how urgently you need to get this out. And the reason, not because the work itself takes a long time, because you're managing 10 other projects, because you're getting calls from your foreman, because somebody hurt themselves on site and you need to deal with that right now, because you forgot to order a material and now your foreman don't have anything to do on site. So there's a lot of things that come up that don't allow you to get to the administration work that you needed to. Now, if you're using Extracker, you can let your foreman call and not pick it up because you know you're going to address it in the next 5 minutes. I'm just going to create this change order really quick, submit it, everything's done, everything's updated, and now I can pick up my call to my foreman and resolve his issue. And the one thing that maybe I didn't highlight, the reason why change orders are really important for you as a subcontractor is because a change order means you're being the bank. You're lending your money to the project during that time. And so you need to recoup that money back as quickly as possible. One, because you're a small entity and that cash flow is very important to your business. But also it's just the frustration and headache so that you don't have to stress about it. So being able to create this document, submit it appropriately to the general contractor, updating all your information while everyone else knows that too, becomes extremely vital for a company. And so that's essentially the change order. So again, you can filter out, but also let's say you needed to create some reports or anything like that, you can export your change order log however you like, PDF, Excel file, CSV, or shared link. And I'll show you in a second what that shared link is, because it's my probably favorite use of export, is that you can select what you track internally and what you present, right? So internally, I might want to be tracking my labor, equipment, and material, and I wanted to see the dollar value there. But I don't want my general contractor, like the general contractor doesn't want to see it, let's say, on their change order log that you present to them. So you just unclick it, and then you can also rearrange your columns as well. So you're not doing any Excel kind of like magic. I actually saw a meme today saying that like I'm in Microsoft Excel fighting for my life. So I thought that was pretty funny and pretty appropriate. So as I was saying, shared link. So let's say I want to share my change order log with the general contractor. We generate a link for you. And what that looks like is just like it would in Extractor, everything is live. Your company information is here. Actually, on this one, I had the filter. So let's redo that. So it's a little, so it's not just orange. So let's export it. So again, you can actually, then you can see what I mean. If you filter it by in review, then you're just showing them what's in review. But let's say they wanted to see everything. So now your general contractor is going to see the same information you're seeing. You can make any update to your log in Extracker, and this is up to date anytime your general contractor accesses it. So again, you don't need to email them any revisions or anything like that. They just need to access this change order log. So if you are using Extracker and a general contractor keeps asking you for a change order log, you just give them this link, and they'll have access to your change orders at all times. And so if, let's say, 2 months goes down and they're like asking for a change order log, you just tell them, hey, just access that link. Everything's up to date. So Extracker then becomes extremely powerful at communicating with your general contractor. Now, before I move on, I'm going to pause here for the change order log to see if anyone has any questions.
So I did see a raised hand come through from LaSonia Mansfield. LaSonia, did you still have a question? I'm going to go ahead and unmute you. Hi, LaSonia. Okay. Well, we'll move on. I didn't see her come through, but I can move on to the next question,
Sure.
which is, so this is from the contractors. They said that they receive purchase orders only as a subcontractor. Do I have to enter data / record data into Extractor each time that I receive an order?
Extracker is as powerful as you want to make it, right? So if it is considered a change order, then yes. If you want to use it to track your purchase orders, you can, but you don't have to communicate it with the general contractor. You can use it as a log. So you can create a project here. Even for estimates, it's really good as well. You can create a project called estimates and then track everything there. And then if you needed to, you can always include an email in your communication when you upload it into Extracker. But essentially, it can be internal and external all at the same time. So it really depends on you and how you want to track your information.
Okay, gotcha. So the next question is, how does Extractor acknowledge wage increases, if at all?
So wages are entered in manually with yourself because everyone has different rates. And the way you do that is going to be in your project settings. Actually, there's 2 places you can do it. One is in settings. In settings, this is where you control how many offices you have, your logo, and this is where your labor rates, equipment rates, and material rates come in. And so as subcontractors, we know that sometimes we have different rates on different jobs. And so you can create rate groups per project. But let's say you don't. Basically what this does is, this is where you put in all your information. So it depends on you and your wage increases. So from what I remember, depending on your union, your wages are increasing every 6 months to 12 months, depending on the union, I think. So that's something that Caltrans actually provides very easily. That if you actually look up prevailing wage, Caltrans, they provide that information. Actually, you had to use it a lot.
Yeah, wonderful. And then the last question is, can the prime / owner make changes to my change order log? I think you just showed us that.
Right. So to some extent, they can change the status. They can change the reference number. So for instance, if your reference number was incorrect, they can edit it, but they cannot change your change order number. So there are some things that can be changed and some things that can't be changed. Things that would have usually been communicated through email or something else, they can edit. But if your general contractor isn't familiar with Extracker, it's unlikely that they'll be setting it up, and so you are using it to manage your project. And so you can easily edit it as well. But
Thank you.
yes. Yeah. So that's the change order log. My favorite feature is the time and material log. And anyone who is using, who uses a lot of T&M on their projects, and I think as smaller subcontractors, it's sometimes really important that you do. But at the same time, a lot of people don't want to use T&M tag because of all the work it takes. So as a utility subcontractor, we had T&M change orders all the time. Because as I like to say, I can't remember if I came up with it or someone told me, but you put a shovel in the ground and it's a change order in San Francisco. One, because of the previous earthquakes, and there's no good documentation, but also because I'm in the street, I've blocked off traffic, I have excavation permits, I have traffic permits as well. And so I'm 100% going to be directed to track everything on time and material. And so as a subcontractor, think about it. I have one project, and I might have a few different scopes on that project. And then I got 6 other projects that I'm managing. So tracking all my tags across all my projects is almost a full-time job in itself. I probably spent 30 to 40% of my week just calling my foreman, asking, hey, did you get that tag in? Did you put in the right information? Where is it at? Did the general contractor look at it? Have they approved it? Did they give it back to you? Did you bring it back to the office? There's so many things that go on when it comes to tags. But now with Extracker, it's you don't have to make one phone call to anybody, and it's all that information is in Extracker. So I'll start it off by showing you how you can create a tag, and then we can kind of show the workflow of what that looks like. So when we allow the ability for your foreman to create a tag through iOS, Android, tablet, laptop, whatever you decide to give your foreman or whatever they have that they use. The app is free. And so you can see at a glance that you can see what status your tags are at, what's been signed, what's awaiting signature, what have my foreman created but still haven't sent to the general contractor yet. So what we also provide is the ability for you to copy tags. So instead of writing each tag, even though you're doing the same scope of work for a week, now you're saving your foreman time and able to get your tags out to the general contractor really quickly. Let's say in this case, I'm starting a new scope of work. My foreman's going to create a new tag. They're going to select the project that they're on, and then your foreman only see the projects that they've been assigned to. If you're using PlanGrid at the office, you can integrate your tasks with Extracker as well, and it would pull in information and tie in those PDFs as well to the tag. If you aren't, that's fine. So now let's say we worked yesterday, and by the way, you can select multiple days or just one day. And then you put in a title. Let's say installed new sewer line. And then I'm going to put in some description. Installed 8-inch SDR 35, sorry. Installed 8-inch. The reverberation keeps making it think I've stopped talking. So installed 8-inch SDR 35. Total 500 linear feet. And as you can see in the description, you can get real fancy with it. You can make it bold, emphasize things, even add bullet points as well. And then you add in your tracking number, your customer reference number that your general contractor gave you. Why this becomes extremely powerful? Because it allows autocorrecting and it types it out. And half of the issue when it comes to tags is that your general contractor is trying to read handwritten tags by your foreman, and your foreman might not be putting as much information as they should be. And so Extracker gives you the tools to get really descriptive through autocorrect and voice to text. And as a project manager and owner, you're able to review that information, whether it's been already submitted to the general contractor or before the fact. So it all depends on the workflow that you decide at the company. If you want them to create it and then you approve it and then send it, or have them just send it out. Then you can add photos either through PlanGrid if you have them there, or if your foreman has already taken some and they're maybe doing the tag at the end of the day, or you can take it right there on the spot and then use that photo. So now your photo documentation becomes organized as well. We're going to click on next step, and we're going to add our workers. So I had a foreman, and I had foreman and laborers on site. Now, again, it all depends on how you decide to present your information. I always was required to add the classification and then the name, because the superintendent usually knew people by name. And so in this case, you're going to have one. But if this is how you want to present it to your general contractor, that's fine too. So let's say I had one foreman and maybe 5 laborers, and they worked 8 hours each. And maybe my foreman actually worked an hour and a half overtime doing some paperwork or anything else. But also, you can also enter in select premium time and double time. This becomes extremely important and makes your life easier in terms of pricing it out. If they put it in the right slot, all you have to do is click a few buttons to create your change order, which I'll show you in a second. But also at the same time, you can also, let's say you didn't have information there, you can add lines here as well. So let's say maybe in this case, we had a carpenter on site and they worked only 5 hours. And so I'm going to go to next step, enter in materials if I had. If you can, for instance, for electrical subcontractors, your material list might be extensive. And so you can easily search here as well if you needed to. But in this case, I didn't have material, and I may have had a piece of equipment, and it was on site for 8 hours. And so now you're on your summary page. Your foreman can see exactly what they've entered, and at any point they can edit it. So let's say, actually, you know what? I had 2 excavators on site. And then this gets updated. I always told my foreman to preview the tag, because that is what we're used to right now, right? So they're used to filling out a tag, reviewing it, and everything looks great. In this case, you want to know exactly what your general contractor is going to be seeing. So it's the opportunity for you to review your tag prior to sending it out. And as you see, all this project information, I didn't need to fill out. It was already there. It's a lot cleaner tag. It has your project logo on it. And all you need to do then is just review the information that you've entered. If everything looks okay, then your foreman's just going to sign their device. And then, depending on the situation. So if your superintendent is on site and right by you, then yeah, maybe you want to hand over your device and have them sign under customer signature. But most of the time, your superintendent is working with other subcontractors and they're nowhere to be found. Your foreman maybe like to do paperwork in the morning or in the evening. You don't want to have to go look for your superintendent every time as well. Plus, it's also COVID now. You want to be safe for your employees. So maybe you're not asking them to share your device. So what you can do is then request a signature. And so here as well, you can select who on the team gets the notification and who on their team gets a notification. And you can also add emails there. But let's say in this case, my superintendent is nowhere to be found. I'm going to request a signature, then send it over. And so as your foreman, you're done in terms of filling out a tag. You can see over here on your TNM log through the mobile app that now that tag is awaiting signature because I've submitted it. You as a project manager, if you're in your TNM log, you're going to see that now your TNM tag, I just noticed the time and I realized that I don't know how hard of a stop do we have.
That's all right, Nima. Maybe a couple more minutes and we can just wrap it up. But a question did come through. Want to know, do Extracker offer a free demo?
Yeah, so what we offer is, so yeah, I will demo the product for you at any time you want, but we also provide a LBE. We have an LBE DBE promotion, or not promotion, it's a program. So one thing that I'm particularly passionate about is giving smaller businesses a really good value, giving them the best tool at a really good value. So what I did was I created a program when I come on board where your first year is half off and every year after that is 20% off, as long as you have your certificates, as long as you have your small business certificates. And really quickly, let's say your general contractor signed this tag. You're going to see on your T&M log that it's been signed, but it's pending a change order. So you can select one tag, you can select 500 tags, it doesn't matter, and turn them into a change order within a matter of seconds. And anyone who's done this knows this takes anywhere from a week to 2 or 3 months, depending on where your piece of paper is. And so it's pulling in all the information. Because all my rates are in there, my change order is pretty much done. And if I had any backup documentation, I can add that in there. And Extracker creates the change order. And then I'll just click submit when it's done. Let's do that. Probably too many photos in one of them. So yeah, it creates a summary sheet with providing all the project information, your logo, breaks it down by labor, material, equipment, which, by the way, general contractors and owners really like, and all your backup documentation that you've attached, and then you click submit. So instead of spending a week to 2 weeks, let's say you're really efficient and it's a week of creating a change order and submitting it. Now I went from submitting a tag to getting it signed to creating a change order to notifying the general contractor, updating my change order log and their change order log, all within a matter of minutes. So now you can see how it becomes really productive for you as a company to use Extracker to manage your change orders across the company. And that's just like that. T&M is my favorite because it was a real headache for me.
You haven't, I know that there's a lot more to this powerful tool, but we want to thank you so much, Nima, for your time. So I do want to pull up Robert's contact information as well as Nima's.